Hi everybody, it's Mrs. Oaks and I'm here today with an extra practice math video, and I'm going to show you how you can use arrays to make your equations for your 2 times table. Now, arrays are helpful when we are working on our multiplication because it's like a picture that can show your brain what you are doing with these numbers. So they're helpful to build. So today you can work along with me to see how to build an array, and then I can show you how to make all of the equations for the arrays. Okay, so I'm going to get you started. I'm going to switch my view and you'll be able to see the array that I'm working on. We'll build our arrays, we'll write our equations, and hopefully that'll help you see not only multiplication, but also how multiplication and division work together as a fact family. All right, so I have my counters here and I've got my pen. So I'm going to get started by explaining how an array works. Now we have done these in class, so I have my array of the day up on the board, but I just want to review how an array works. So an array is just rows of something. So remember the time we made arrays out of cupcakes? Pretend cupcakes. We looked at lots of pictures of different food arrays because that seemed to make you guys really excited. But today I'm just using these boring counters, but that's okay. They work the same. So this is my first one, and it's just showing you what 1 times 2. So there's one group of 2. Remember how I said that this pen is no good, but remember how I said that this X here. Okay, so I've switched to my array view here and you can see my paper. So I have my first 2 arrays and they're ready to go. And all I'm going to do is explain how these first 2 arrays work. So when you look at a multiplication equation, and this isn't an equation yet because I haven't put the equal sign. So this is right now just a multiplication thing written down. Once I put the equal sign, it is an equation. Okay, so looking here, this is 1 times 2. It's one group of 2, because this X, remember, it just means groups of. So one group of 2 is 2. That's all that is. So that's 1 times 2 is 2. You could also put 2 times 1 is 2. And that's because you have one group of 1 and 2 groups of 1. 2 groups of 1 is 2. So when you look at that, that is just all an equation is. That is all an equation is for multiplication and all the array is. Now we're going to move on to the second array. So this one here, I have 2 groups of 2. And do you notice how this is a square? So this one makes a square. And that means that if I was to look at it from either way, so if I look at it by going this way, there's a group of 2, there's a group of 2. Or if I look at it going this way, here's a group of 2, here's a group of 2, it's the same thing. So 2 times 2 equals 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 times 2 is 4. And all I've done there is I've made 2 groups of 2, and they are 4. Now let's move on to 3 times 2, or 2 times 3. So here are my, I'm going to move my other array pieces out of the way. Just get these ones set up. So I have right here, I have an array, and now it's more than a square. Now it's starting to take on a different shape. Okay, and when it takes on that different shape, then it tells you that one way has more, the rows on one of your ways are longer than the other. So I have, it's not 2 times 2, which was an easy square, it's now 2 times 3. So I have 2 groups of 3 or 3 groups of 2. So my 2 groups of 3, I've got 1 group of 3 here, there's 1 group of 3, and 1 group of 3 here. 2 groups of 3. If I look at my array the other way, I have 3 groups of 2. And so look, 3 groups of 2. 1 group of 2, 2 groups of 2, 3 groups of 2. Now I'm going to show you now how to turn them into an equation. So 2 times 3 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can count by 2s. Count these 3 groups of 2. 2, 4, 6. So both of these equations, because they have an equal sign, now they're an equation, both of these equations are equal on both sides. On this side, you're saying I have 3 groups of 2. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and on this side of your equal sign, you're saying, and that is 6. Right? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if you wanted to move on to division, and I know I've made some of these division sentences with you guys, all you have to do is take your whole number, your total number of your array, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, and you're going to talk about how you could divide it into equal groups. So if I divide 6 into 3 equal groups, so let's just do that. Those are my 3 equal groups. I've got 1, 2, 3 equal groups. Okay, and then how many counters are in each group? 1, 2 in that group, 1, 2 in that group, and 1, 2 in that group. So if you take 6, and you divide it into 3 equal groups, there's going to be 2 counters in each group. I could also see it another way. So I'm going to put my array back, and I'm going to go 6 counters. And I'm dividing it into 2 equal groups. So I'm going to divide it into 2 groups. Okay, and I will have 1, 2, 3 counters in each group. So just like when we did our addition and subtraction fact families, guys, this is the same idea. You're looking here, and I've got all of these numbers, but do you notice how 2 times 3 is 6? 3 times 2 is 6. But when we move on to this division piece, and it's important to be aware of division because it's kind of the opposite of multiplication. And what it's doing is I'm taking my whole array and I'm breaking it into groups. So my whole array broken into groups, into 3 groups, there's going to be 2 in each group. My whole array divided into 2 groups, there's going to be 3 in each group. I could also, and some people find it easier to look at it this way, I could do 6 divided into groups of 3 is going to give me 2 groups, right? Or 6 divided into groups of 2 is going to give me 3 groups. So that is why I'm always talking about these fact families, and I know in some of my videos I've drawn a little house over them because they're a fact family and they're all living together in this little house. And that's all a fact family is for multiplication and division. You can also add repeated addition in there, and we've done a lot of that. So let's just write it as repeated addition. That can be their basement of their house. So I have 2 plus 2 plus 2. 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6, and that's the same as saying 1, 2, 3 groups of 2. And then I could also do it the other way. So I've got 3 plus 3 equals 6. All of these equations are describing this one array. That's what I mean when I say arrays help your mind to see what your numbers mean. Arrays are a way of visualizing all of these multiplication and division and addition facts, because all they are, they're kind of a signal to your brain, a picture your brain can use to understand what it's seeing. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next multiplication fact in our 2's. Okay, and I'm going to move all these out of the way, and I'm moving on to 2 times 4. So here I have 2 times 4. So I have, my array is set up this way. But remember how I said if I was to turn this array the other way, so I've got it this way, if I was to build it going down, that doesn't change the number of counters in my array. That doesn't change these numbers. I could build it this way, or I could build it this way. And either way, it's the same total. You're equal. Your equation is the same. So let's write our equations. And I'm going to go a little faster because I already explained it the first time. Let's write our equations together right now, or maybe you're just following along with the video to get an idea of what all this is, and that's okay too. So 2 times 4, my total is, let's count by 2's, 2, 4, 6, 8. 2 times 4, my total is 8. 4 times 2, I have 4 plus 4, that's also 8. Remember that this X just means groups up, guys. So those are my 2 multiplication sentences that I can come up for this fact family. Okay, and I'll draw my little fact family house. And then I'm going to do my division facts because those facts live in this fact family too. So again, with division, I take my total number. So my total number is 8. And I'm going to divide it into, let's divide it into 2 equal groups. And I will have, if I divide it into 2 equal groups, I will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 in each group. Okay, and now I'm going to go on to 8, and I'm going to divide it into 4 equal groups. And you guys guessed it, if I'm dividing this into 4 equal groups, I'm going to move my array around a bit. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal groups, and in each group I have 2. 2, 4, 6, 8. So I have 2 in each group. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Okay, and let's just do our repeated addition at the bottom so that we can keep going with our fact families and know all. So repeated addition is like the foundation. It's like the basement. It's the foundation for this fact family because that's the first thing you learn is addition. So let's do our repeated addition. So I can do 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 8. Or I can do, remember I have my other way of doing it. I can break it into groups of 4. 4 plus 4 equals 8. Okay? So these addition sentences, do you see why they get a little long? That's why we use multiplication, because when you get into even bigger numbers, this addition sentence gets longer and longer. So if we can use this little magic X, just to say I have 4 groups of 2 instead of writing 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. I have 4 groups of 2. Okay, that's the same as writing 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. But if I write it this way, it's a lot easier to understand once you get the hang of it. All right, so I'm going to move on to the 5 times 2 fact family. Okay, I'm set up with my array for 2 times 5, 2 groups of 5, double 5. Those are all saying the same thing. So let's go through and create our equations, guys. So here's my array. Remember my rules of arrays. They have to be in straight lines. They can't be like that. They have to be in straight lines. I need to create my arrays in straight lines. Otherwise, it's not helping your brain to understand multiplication. Okay. So here is my first array that I'm going to work with here. So if I look at it this way, if I look at my array this way, I can look at it as groups of 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, or I can look at it as groups of 5. So 5 and 10 together. So count by 5s, 5, 10. So I have 5 groups of 2. So you could do 5 groups of 2, and you notice how I'm writing it, this one first, my 5's coming first, 5 groups of 2. That's because it does not matter which way you write it. Both ways are your 2's facts. I can also do 2 groups of 5, 5 and 5. 2 groups of 5. All of this is the same way of representing it, okay? Because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups of 2, or 1, 2 groups of 5. Either way, you're representing the same thing. Okay, and then I could move on to my division sentences. So I've got a total of 10, right? I'm taking my 10 counters, and if I divide them into 2 equal groups, I'm going to do that. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in each group. So divided by 2 equal groups, divided into 2 equal groups, I'm going to have 5 in each group. Now if I want to take those and I want to divide them into 5 groups, take 10 and I'm going to divide it into 5 groups. You're probably noticing the pattern. You're probably saying, Mrs. Oakes, I know there's going to be 2 in each group. So I'm taking 10 and dividing it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal groups. And in each group I have 2 counters. And like I said, some people have an easier time reading that as 10 divided into groups of 5 is going to give you 2 groups. Either way, however it makes sense to you, practice it, okay? Because all of these facts are a family. Once you've learned them together, it's gonna make your math life way easier, okay? So it's kind of like when you learn your addition facts. It makes your life easier when you're doing math. It makes it easier to do your math. So let's do the foundation of this. The foundation of this family's house, this facts family's house, are these repeated additions. So let's start with repeated additions of groups of 2. I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Do you see how they're in groups of 2? So let's do it. 5 2s. 1, 2. So 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 2. Wait for it, guys. I have to go up to 10 groups of 2. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 10. Okay? When I said that, I meant in this video. I'm going to keep going with more. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups of 2. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay? As repeated addition, this is what this looks like. Now, I could also do repeated addition with my groups of 5. So let's change this into groups of 5. We'll put them together into these 2 groups of 5. I have 5 plus 5 is 10. Now, I know I've said this before many times, but your 2 times tables are the same as your doubles facts. And we know our doubles facts. Every single one of you knows your doubles facts. I know you do. So when you're practicing your 2s, remember 2s are just doubles facts because you're taking a number and you're doubling it. That's all you're doing. So looking here, I have my fact family and I'm ready to move on to my 6 times 2 array. So I'm going to move my paper up. And then I'm going to build this array. So looking here, I've got 1, 2. Remember my rules of arrays, they have to be in straight lines. Otherwise, they're just a bunch of dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I have a couple extra here, so I'm going to move those out of the way. So I've got 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I've built my array. Okay, and I'm just going to move my camera so you can really see what I'm doing when I write out my fact family. So here's my fact family. I'm going to draw their house, and then we can get writing our facts. So you know the deal. I'm going to start with my multiplication sentences for this array. So what multiplication sentences can I make? Okay, well, let's start with groups of 2. So I'm going to start with 2, what I have 2 groups of. So I have 2 groups of 6. 2 groups of 6 is, let's count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now double 6 is, 6 plus 6 is 12. We have 2 groups of 6. Okay, my second multiplication fact is groups of 2. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups of 2. 6 groups of 2 is 12. All right, so now I have my 2 multiplication equations. Remember, they are an equation because 2 groups of 6 is the same as 12. 6 groups of 2 is the same as 12. That equal sign doesn't mean give me the answer. It means the same as. So everything on both sides of my equation is balanced. It's equal. So I'm going to move on to my division sentences. So again, I start with my whole number, and let's start by doing 10. I have my whole group here. My whole group 12, Mrs. Oaks. So I'm going to start by doing 12. I have my whole group here. It's a group of 12. Now I'm going to divide it. I'm going to break it up into 2 equal groups. So let's break it up into 2 equal groups. I've divided it into 2 equal groups, and I have how many in each group? Let's count. So this is a group and this is a group. Let's count how many are in each group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the groups are equal, so I don't have to count both of them. Okay? Now I'm going to take my total of all my counters in this fact family, and I'm going to break them into 6 equal groups. So 12 divided into 6 equal groups. So let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I've divided it into 6 equal groups. I'm trying to separate them a bit. I'm running out of room. So those are in 6 equal groups. And in each group, I have 1, 2 counters. Now, the foundation, let's make the foundation of our house here. The foundation is my repeated addition, right? That's my foundation for multiplication. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to make my repeated addition sentences. So I can do 6 plus 6 is 12. Or I could do, oh, this is going to be a long one. I'm going to start over here. 6 groups of 2. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more group of 2, and that's going to be 12 also. Oh, you guys can't even see it. I went off the camera view. So that is repeated addition. Remember, that's the foundation of multiplication. Okay, the foundation is like the basement of the house. It's what the house rests on. So your multiplication houses, your fact families, are resting on this foundation of repeated addition. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next one, and I'm running out of room with my camera view. So I'm going to do my 7 times 2 right now. So let's make that work. So it might be a little squished, but let's do it. I'm going to zoom out on my camera view so you can really see my 7s. Oh, sorry guys. As you know, I'm using my phone taped to some books, and that's how I film. So sometimes it's a little wobbly, and I apologize for that. Okay, so there is my array for 2 times 7, and it is quite an array. Isn't it beautiful? So that's my array for 2 times 7. Again, I could turn it like this. Oh, if I don't mess it up, if I turn it like this, it's the same array. I haven't changed any of the number, right? I can look at it this way, but I'm gonna look at it this way so I can get my other arrays out of the shot and it's less confusing for you guys. Okay, so here's my array. Oh, it's so beautiful. There's my array, and now I'm gonna do my fact family for this array. So, making my fact family, I'm gonna start with multiplication. This one has a wonky roof on their house, but that's fine. So, it's only an imaginary house. I'm gonna start with my multiplication sentences. So let's start with how many groups you have here. So look at my array, you know the deal. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 2 groups of 7 is 14. Okay, now I have it the other way. I have 7 groups of 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 groups of 2. I have 7 groups of 2 is 14. Do you see how it does not matter which way you write that? You're saying the same thing. So it's just like rearranging your words. If you can think of 2 ways to say the same thing and it mean the same thing, that is the same as what we're doing here, okay? Now, let's move on to our division. So let's divide this beautiful number, this total of 14. I'm going to divide 14. I'm going to divide it into 2 equal groups, okay? And in each group, I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't have to count both groups because I know they're equal. Now I'm going to divide it 14. My total, all of these counters, I'm going to divide them into 7 equal groups. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so now I have how many in each group? This is a group 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, they're sticking in my hand. 5, 6, 7. I have 2 in each group. Let's make the foundation. The foundation of a multiplication is repeated addition. Let's make this foundation together. So let's start with my 2s. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 groups of 2. So I'm going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, 7 groups of 2s is 14. Okay, and now I'm going to change that right here. And I have 7 plus 7 is 14. Okay, and that's all I had to do. I have 2 groups of 7. I've got my repeated addition as my foundation for my multiplication fact families, and then I have up here, I've got my multiplication and my division. Now, all of these are ways to represent this array. Okay, so this array can be represented all of these different ways. Okay, now I have three more left for you. I'm going to do 8, 9, and 10. Okay, now I've got my groups of 8. So 2 groups of 8. I've made my array. I'm just trying to get the best camera angle so it's not distracting, but my phone isn't falling down. Okay, so I'm going to start with my multiplication. I'm going a little bit faster because I've modeled this process so many times and I don't want you to get bored. So multiplication, I have 2 groups of 8. There's 8, there's 8. So 2 groups of 8 is, let's count by 2s, guys. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. It is 16. Now, I also have, I wrote that backward. 2 groups of 8. Now, if I wanted to do 8 groups of 2, 8 groups of 2, counting 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. I have 16 counters. Now to divide, division. So I've got 16 counters. I'm going to divide it into 2 groups. So let's pull. I have 2 groups, 16 counters divided into 2 groups. I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in each group. Now let's do it again. 16 counters. I'm going to divide them into 8 equal groups. I'm running out of room. So in each group, they're really smushed, but in each group I have 2. Okay, because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal groups. All right, and what is my foundation of multiplication and division fact families, guys? Their house is built on repeated addition. So let's go. I'm going to do my 2s first. So I need 8 2s. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. Whew, that's 4 2s. Plus 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 2s. And I think I'm almost off the page. And that is going to be 16. And that is my repeated addition, my foundation of my multiplication and division fact families. And now I'm going to move on to 8s. 8 plus 8 is 16. So these are all different ways to write the same thing, to describe the same array. Now we're going to move on to the next one. I'm going to have to put my family, for 9s, my family's house is going to have to be built underneath my array. Otherwise, I will not have room to write. So let's make my array. Remember, straight lines. They're not just a collection of dots. Okay, made my array. And I am going to describe it now. Let's make our fact family. I'll move nice and quick because I'm sure you're getting bored. Now today or sometime when you're eating your snack, maybe you'll have raisins or pieces of cereal or something. You could try making your own arrays and then you could eat them if you wanted. That's one thing that I know people like to do. Or maybe you have some Lego blocks. You want to build some of these. All right, focus, Mrs. Oaks. Let's do our multiplication fact family. So multiplication to start. I have 2 groups of 9. Look, 9 and 9. It's like I'm saying no twice in German, but I'm not. 9 and 9. I have 2 groups of 9, and that is 18. Now, if I wanted to do 9 groups of 2, it's also 18. You know your double, so you know 2 groups of 9 is 18. You also know how to skip count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. You're getting the same numbers. So don't get too thrown off by these new symbols that we're working with. This is all stuff that you've done. This is all stuff you know how to do. Okay, now we're going to do our division. 18 is our total. We have 18. If I divide it into 2 groups, so I have 2 groups, here is a group, and it's getting harder and harder to move these around, but you've seen it done so many times, so you kind of know it. I have 1, 2 groups, so I'm dividing, I made up a word. I'm dividing it into 2 equal groups, and there is 9 in each group, or there are 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, now I'm going to take 18, and I'm going to divide it into 9 equal groups. Okay, so I'm dividing it into 9 equal groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 equal groups. And in each group, I have 2 counters. Now, what is the foundation of my multiplication fact families? What is their house built on? Their house is built on repeated addition. So we have to do those repeated addition equations to show them to make sure that they have a solid foundation. So their house is built on repeated addition. You know there are 9 groups of 2, so it's like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 groups of 2 is 18. Okay, and now I'm also doing 2 groups of 9. So 9 plus 9 is 18. Okay, and if I saw an addition sentence like this, do you see why we need these multiplications? Because if I saw this, I go, whoa, where do I start? But you could go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. But it's easier to write 2 times 9 or 9 groups of 2, 2 groups of 9. This is easier to write and easier to understand once you understand the fact families. Okay, my last fact family that we're going to do today with my 8 is a little sideways. Our last fact family that we're going to do today the fact family for 2 times 10. So I'm going to clear these arrays off. I'm going to move my paper up. I'm running out of room on my paper, but that's okay because this is my last one. And I hope that seeing this isn't too distracting, but this is the camera angle we're working with, so let's just do it. So we'll move this. Okay, so setting up my array, remember arrays are in straight lines. Okay, they're in straight lines. And I will be releasing videos next week for 3 times. So, we'll go through this whole thing again if you like watching arrays be built and start to understand your multiplication. So, looking here, let's make our fact family. This is your last one, fact families. So, the beginning, I'm going to do my multiplication fact. So I have 2 groups of 10, 10 and 10. 2 groups of 10 is, let's count by tens. 10, 20, it's 20. Now I have 10 groups of 2. Let's count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Also 20. Now, I need to do my division. So my total number is 20. If I divide it into 2 equal groups, here that is, and I'm not going to move these around because they're just getting so mixed up, but there's an equal group and there's an equal group. 1 equal group, 2 equal groups, and each of those groups has 10 in them. Now I have 20, and I'm going to divide it into 10 equal groups. So 20 divided into 10 equal groups, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 groups. Remember, we did this with the cupcakes, guys. On the smartboard, think back to when we do our arrays in class. We do them on the smartboard, and I would circle all of my groups, and then you guys would say, wow, this array is getting full of ink. So 20 divided by 10, I'm going to have, in each group, I'm going to have 2 counters. So there's 2 in each group. Now, what is the foundation of our our multiplication and division fact families? You got it. It's repeated addition. Now, I'm going to try and fit 2 equations in there. Do you think I can do it? I'll write small. So we're going to start with our 2s. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh my goodness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and we know our total is 20. And then I have 10 plus 10 is 20. Okay, so that's all that is. Now, I encourage you to keep practicing with your arrays. Okay, so that was a really long explanation of multiplication and division fact families using arrays. I would encourage you to start looking for and building arrays in your life. So maybe you are going to go work with some Lego today or some kind of toy where there's small pieces. Try and build some arrays. Try different arrays. Try it out. It's not as boring as you might think. It's actually kind of fun. It's going to help your brains get better at multiplication. So when you move up into higher grades, it's really good if Know your facts like that. I always do that. Practice your facts. This is a good way to get them in your brain. Get your brain making those connections, and you will be even faster and even more confident at math next year, because you're going to know those, actually not even next year, this year, but you're going to know those facts. Okay, so practice making some arrays. You could use food, you could use old coins, like if you have a jar of change, maybe you might have some small toys that you like to use. Or you could draw them. You could make, I know that we've done some array art at school. You could make some beautiful array art. But practice your arrays somehow today. If you want to send me a message and show me, send me a picture of your arrays that you make. I'd love to see them. You don't have to do that though. Just practice your arrays and practice thinking in terms of those multiplication and division fact families. Okay? I've talked enough. I hope that this extra bonus lesson is going to help you out. There's no work attached to this, guys. It's just practice for you to make you a little bit more confident with your arrays and equations. This is the way I teach it if I'm at school. Obviously at school it would be on a smart board, not on a scrap piece of paper on my desk, but you get the idea, right? You still get the idea. All right, have a wonderful day, and check back next week for my 3 times table array video.